What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers here from Geekazine, and today we're taking a look at this. This is the ClonerAlliance 4K Pro box. It lets you record up to 4K in 30 frames per second, and there's a lot of great uses for this. We're going to be setting it up the way that I'm going to be using this and show you how you can do a couple different things, from recording gameplay to recording a camera to many other things, and we're going to do that next on Geekazine. What's up, my geeks? Jeffrey Powers from Geekazine. Think Magazine, put in a geek. ClonerAlliance, it did send me product, and they are sponsoring this video. They will be seeing this video before it's published, but all opinions are that of Geekazine. I have a full set of guidelines over at geekazine.com/review. You can go over there and check that out. And if you've got a product that you want me to take a look at, all you have to do is hit the contact button. Before we get started, I do like to thank my Patreons. You can go over to patreon.com/Geekazine to join up. And of course, if you want to send a tip, that's over at venmo.com/Geekazine. This device is simply a recorder for videos, whether it be a screen or a gameplay or anything like that. You'll be able to use this box as a intermediary that will then record out. I do have to mention this. Yes, you can hook this up and record almost anything. What we are using this for is for recording things that I use in show. Like, for instance, a camera. A lot of these cameras can do streaming and send out to a switcher, which then records. But if I want to do direct to the camera recording, then something like this is going to be perfect for that. Yes, you can record other things, and we will not get into those things that you can record that are dealing with HDCP. We are not, once again, not going to be doing that, but I'm going to be showing you how I can use this box in other ways to record what I need to record. With that said, with that done, let's go ahead and take a look at this, unbox this, and go from there. This is a standalone 4K HDMI video recorder. It's a HDMI capture device. It will record HDMI sources, such as game consoles, streaming boxes, cameras, PCs, directly storage without a PC. And it does have PC mode, so you can work as a capture device or streaming recording on a computer or other devices such. First of all, we've got the instructions here. We've got recording resolutions of 3840 by 2160 at 24 frames a second up to 30 frames a second. And it will do 1080 video at 60 frames a second. It's got HDMI input. There's the device right there. It's got supported scaling for recording, and we'll talk about scaling in a second here. It goes up to 4K 60 frames a second through its pass-through. So if you have a game that's 4K 60 frames, then you'll be able to send it off to your monitor or your video or whatever. It does H.265. It does H.264, up to 18 megabits per second file formats of MP4 and TS. We've got the power supply right here. And of course, I'm in the US, so I've got a US power supply. We've got a USB micro to USB-A. Keep in mind, that's a micro plug. That's an older technology. It does have a 3.5 millimeter audio jack. We do not have one in the box here. It does also use the HDMI audio, and it also has a bit rate of up to 320 kilobits per second. So high-end audio for your recordings. All right, we've standard HDMI cable here with a couple caps. We just got to take those off. Not a big deal. And then, of course, the remote, which we're probably going to start with in a second here. Let's take a look at this remote. It says the UHD Pro on it. On the back, two AAA batteries on the back here. This is a fairly plasticky remote. Kind of feels like they 3D printed it, but it's very lightweight, and the buttons are, you can kind of hear that clickiness of the buttons. So it's not a high-end remote, but most likely will do the job. Like I said, we have the HDMI cable. We'll take the caps off here. Throw those away. There we go. I completely missed the trash can, by the way. And of course, the power, it's not USB power. It is a regular power wart that supplies 12 volts, 1 amp worth of power, which is interesting. It's a low amperage, but 12 volts for the box here. And then, of course, the USB cable. Let's go ahead and pull out the Pro here. Let's see what we've got. Fairly straightforward. On the front here, we have several buttons. It looks like we have where the infrared is for the remote. It'll probably be a direct line for infrared. 3 audio ports, 3.5 millimeter jacks for audio in and audio out. The first one is line in, and then we have line out, and then we have microphone. So those are the 3 plugs right there for that. We've got nothing on this side right here. On the back, this side, we've got a micro USB that will actually connect up to your PC. And this is if you are a gamer and you want to stream, record, and stream at the same time. You're basically recording the gaming B-roll or whatever as B-roll. So if you need it for post-production, you can use it that way. And then, of course, USB-A port. And I'm guessing this is under 5 gigabits per second. It will record the 4K 30 frames a second. It will accept a USB drive in exFAT, NTFS, or FAT32 up to 8 terabytes. And it does take a micro SD or TF card, a UHS1 style card, and it'll do up to 512 gigabytes for the card. And there is no place to put it in. You'll have to supply your own adapter, and then you'll probably plug it right into the USB right there. Let's go to the back here where we have our power, which is right there, an on and off switch, which is right there. And then we have an input and the pass through, which of course this can then go to the TV or maybe another device, however you're using this. We got a vent on the bottom here, so keep that clear. It's got rubber feet. Make sure that they're still on. There are no other vents on this device besides through the bottom, so keep that clear. Let's take a look at the buttons on the front here. They're actually pretty straightforward buttons. The far end button will record and stop. The other side will go from H265 to H264. And in the middle, if you press that, that'll take a snapshot, whatever it's seeing at that present time. So this is perfect for somebody that wants to get some quick shots of some gameplay or whatever. And then you have some static shots to send to like an Instagram or put on your blog post or anything like that. There's no internal battery on this, so you will need to be powered by that cable. So what we're going to do is we're going to plug this in and get the remote working, and then I'll have it hooked up on the TV here. Let's go ahead and turn this on. So just button in the back, and of course, as you can see, it lights up. We got the cloner right here, lettering, and of course, a nice green LED. I don't know if we can change that. Hopefully we can, but it is powering up, and it would, yep, there we go. We've now got it over on the screen here. Let's take a look. So basically we've got here where it's telling us that it's a format of H264, low bit rate, no input for the microphone, no HDMI signal in, and loop recording is off. There's no disc in here right now. It's got a QR code over there so you can scan and get any type of support that you need. If we go to the menu, we can see some of the features like record settings. Record, we can schedule recordings. We can go to system settings, video playback, and photo playback. So if you've taken a lot of pictures, then you'll be able to use this as a digital frame, which is pretty cool. Let's go to system settings here, where we can choose what language we're in, the system time, which I definitely have to change. The playback loop, if we wanted to just play a single file or go through a full list or anything like that. This would be great for something like Halloween, if you do virtual decorations, because then you can load up all your videos here. And if you have a projector that doesn't have anything like Android on the projector, then you can use this to have the files on there to create the virtual decorations on windows and things like that. We got a reset button here. There is no connection to the internet. There's no Wi-Fi on here. Keep that in mind. So we don't have any place to do any type of updates or anything like that. As for the video, that is all that's in there through the remote. And you can do a lot of these functions through the remote. And once again, you do have some of the buttons on the unit that will allow you to record and take a snapshot or anything like that. So now that we have this, I'm going to get a camera that we can plug into and see how I can use this device for that. All right, so I have my camera right here, which is a PTZ optics camera. It basically does HDMI video. So what I can do is connect up, and I'll just use the HDMI cable. And kudos to ClonerAlliance for not folding this cable like that, because that can damage the insides of the cable. I'm expecting this cable to be at least 4K compatible and 4K 30 frames a second. So I'll plug this in here, and then we're going to switch over to right here, and I'm going to go ahead and plug this into the input, and you're going to see, let's see, you'll see this. It finds the signal, and it's going to transmit it. And there we are. We've got my camera. Let's see if I can take a look at this latency a little bit better. I'm hearing myself in the audio because this camera does have a microphone to it. So let's see what type of latency we're seeing from me to the camera. So if I go like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So as you can see, there's a little bit of latency on this. So what does that mean for you? If you're just recording some B-roll, it's not going to be much of a big deal. But if you were projecting that off to another screen like I'm doing right now, that latency, especially if you're playing music, for example, people can really notice it. So let's do that again. We'll test that again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So yeah, it's definitely got a little bit of delay between the camera and there. With gameplay, you can be a little bit behind. If you're doing like a presentation and you're just recording, that's going to be fine. But keep in mind that latency, which I think is about 200 milliseconds. But if you think that it's lower than that or higher than that, let me know in the comments below. It's doing exactly what it's expected to do, and that is pass through the video. Now, the next thing we're going to do is I got to find a USB drive. We're going to hook it up so we can get the video from this and see what happens there. I realized that I had my SSD was actually full, so I got another one that's got files on it. Keep in mind, this will not format the drive, so whatever's on here is on here, and you won't be able to access that stuff. But when you start to record a snapshot, you'll be able to access that. And in fact, if we go back over here and I go to the menu, video playback, you can see it sees absolutely nothing that was recorded for this. The same thing with photos. So what we're going to do is really quick. We're just going to press the button. We could do it on the remote, or we could hit the button right on the screen. We're in 264 mode, so we're going to hit that, and it says starting now, and we could switch it to H265, but probably don't want to switch it in between. On the unit, you can see right here, it's actually blinking. So it's telling me that it's recording right here. So if we go back in here, and I'm going to hit that second button, that's the snapshot button. That blue light is going to flash once I hit that button. That tells me that I got a snapshot, plus I'm recording. So I can do both at the same time, and that's a good thing. So we've got this recording, and we've got the screen showing us that it's recording. There's the little record bug up there. Now we're going to hit stop on the recording. There we go. We stopped that. We're going to go to our remote, and we're going to go to menu, and we're going to go video playback. Now we should have one thing on our video playback, which we do. And we're playing it back right now. So there's me talking from about a couple minutes ago. We have options here to fast forward, rewind, and previous and next. But we're going to go back to the main screen and go back into the menu. We'll go to the photo playback because we took a couple pictures, and those are the two images right there. Now I'm going to transfer them back over to the computer so we can see the video and the photos, or if we need it for B-roll. Okay, calling it up on the computer. As you can see, this was the Samsung drive. This was the videos or the files that I had on here before. So I didn't need to format it unless I wasn't using exFAT, FAT32, or NTFS. So if you've got a Mac and you're using something like APFS, you might have to format to exFAT to get this to work. But the whole idea is we see the two photos and the video right there. There we go. And there we go. That's the video that I just recorded right there. So now I can use that for B-roll, safety roll, whatever. And it should have some sort of audio, but I can hear the audio coming from there. Unit, you can see right here. That's coming from the camera, so that the quality is really the camera's audio because I didn't hook up a microphone or anything like that. But I could easily hook up a microphone from there, which is something we're going to do next. All right, now we're recording again, and you're actually hearing it from the recording through the device, and I've set up the camera so it's a little bit more positioned. Of course, I didn't change the color on, so it looks a little bit bluer than the other camera. The whole point is that this is how it's going to look with the sound that goes through. And I'm using the microphone to try and figure out the latency on here and see if there is going to be a latency between my voice and within this microphone. So you're seeing what I'm seeing. There's no additional processing, a little bit of editing when I make a mistake, and there might be a little bit of boost in the audio, and that's it. But if we go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I'm seeing some latency on the monitor, but we'll see if we've got a latency between the audio and the video. Another thing to keep in mind, if your camera has audio, you want to turn that off if you're using an external microphone. We have a mic line and a line. If you're using a microphone like this, you can go in either. However, the difference really is the amount of boost that this device gives. So if you plug it into line, it's going to be a lot quieter than if you plug it into microphone. And sometimes that's needed because you plug it in a microphone and you sound really distorted. You plug it into line and then it sounds fine. All right, we're back in recording, and now I'm recording through the line level. You'll hear that through here if I do that. It's going to be a little bit quieter than the mic level, although like I said, that I've probably boosted the audio so you can hear what I'm saying. But for the most part, this is how it's going to go into the system. And that's basically it for the cloner. One thing I will note is that when this starts to record, it takes a second before the record button actually happens. It's not as instantaneous as I'd like it to be, but there it is. So keep that in mind when you're recording. If you're hitting the button to start it, you might want to wait a second before you do whatever you're trying to record, because you might not catch the beginning of that. All right, we got one more test here. This is the live stream option. You need a USB 2.0 or better for the connection from the ClonerAlliance to the computer. But the bigger problem right now is I had to stop and switch the audio device to the camera. So if I plugged it into here, for some reason, it was not passing the audio from the microphone or the line in into the computer through the USB plug. So what you hear is what's going to happen. We're going to test the latency anyway. So it's basically going microphone to camera, camera through HDMI, HDMI out USB into the computer. And then, of course, the capture device is doing that. If I go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, that is what you'll see when you're using it this way. Now I'm going to switch over. Actually, before I switch over, I do have to say, if you do set it up for the capture, make sure that you have the option to set it up for MJPG. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this microphone and I'm going to turn on this microphone so you can see the latency, if there is any latency, between the cloner box and this audio right here. Now I'm on my regular microphone using the the camera through the cloner box. And that's basically it. You'll probably see if there's any latency just by looking at my lips, but we're going to do this anyway. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And that's it. That's what we've got for the ClonerAlliance. That's right here. This box that will be a recorder and even a streamer for whatever device you have. Now, let's look at some of the pros and cons, and you saw a few of those pros and cons. We'll start with the remote. Yeah, like I said, it feels like it actually was 3D printed. I'm fine with that. The biggest con that I saw so far was the ability to not be able to use the microphones correctly. The microphone, the line in, and then of course the microphone, if your camera has a microphone, you got to make sure that that's muted in the camera. And if you can't do that within the camera, then you're going to get some weird echo back and forth. There's a little bit of latency on the video. And then, of course, connecting it up to this system using the micro USB, this older technology, which means that you're not going to get the best signal out there, but it still works. It still works. When you hit the record button, it's going to take a second before it starts recording. So don't just jump into what you're talking about, because you might lose out just the beginning bit of your video. The videos themselves, pretty straightforward. They load up right onto your drive. I didn't even have to format the drive. It just recorded it and went from there. Although there are no options to say, hey, put it in this folder or do anything like that. Another thing I wanted to show you really quick is this application. Now, when you register your ClonerAlliance, you'll get some software that you can use to do any of the recording or anything like that. As you can see, I've got the software right there, and it's actually doing pretty good latency wise. So this might be a better option than going through the TV and just using the TV as a reference. But of course, if you need that for gaming, that little bit latency is always an issue. I don't see anything that shows me anything like a firmware update. It doesn't do anything like that. I went to the software. There are several pieces of software you can get. Nothing really geared towards any type of maintenance updates or anything like that. So what you see is what you get, basically, with this device. Let's talk about ClonerAlliance, the price, and some of the other products that they have. Now, we're on the website. As you can see, there's the 4K Pro. They also have what's called the Flint 4K Plus, which is a pass-through live streaming and video capture device. And then, of course, the ClonerAlliance View Pro, which has a screen right there. Is that worth all the functionality that you get from this device? Or is there another device out there that would be better for doing something like this, doing something like streaming your games or anything like this? I like it as a streamer. I don't like the latency from the monitor, that's for sure. And the audio issue that I had between the box, using the microphone there and then use the microphone on the camera so I can pass it through to my software capture device, that is a little bit problematic. So, but what do you think? Do you use the ClonerAlliance Pro 4K with the Halo, or do you have another device that you use? Let me know in the comments below over at Geekazine.com, youtube.com/Geekazine, where you can like, subscribe, hit that bell notification so you know when the next video comes out. Until next time, my name is Jeffrey Powers. You guys geek out and stream on with ClonerAlliance.